Welcome to The Great Reboot. I'm Tori Ryden. Once upon a time, it's really how this story begins. There were two young people with big hearts, big ideas who wanted to change the world through textile manufacturing. Now, truncating the story a lot, American Roots was born. Dan Waxman and his wife Whitney Reynolds at the helm decided their focus should be fleece. They joined forces with Polar Tech in Massachusetts and vowed to make the highest quality Polar Tech fleece into the best American-made apparel. And welcome to The Great Reboot, Ben.
Thank you, Tori. Thanks for having us.
And now also joining us, Ben's mentors. His mom, Dory Waxman, and his dad, Dan Waxman, creators of Common Threads of Maine, a sewing school offering free classes to primarily immigrants, giving them the opportunity and the skills they need to secure a good paying job and hopefully a financially secure future. And I want to welcome both of you, Dory and Dan, to The Great Reboot. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. This is really wonderful. Thank you.
The company was born from my mom and dad and Whitney and I with the idea to create good paying jobs in our community and produce something that was 100% American made and union made by paying good wages. You know, when we first started the company, I honestly thought a bunch of experienced textile workers were going to walk through our door because everything had closed down. Well, the problem is that everything closed down 30 years ago, Tori.
Right.
You know, so those people are all in their 70s and 80s. We haven't sewn anything in America since 1985 at any level of real significance. And then the company just evolved, and at some point, my mom said, I want to go build this school. This needs to be my legacy and what her gift is back to the community and the state, which is an incredible gift. And that school is the reason why American Roots is able to grow.
So fast forward from that first class, how many people have you trained up since that first
120.
class?
We've done the first 3 classes were the employees for American Roots. We teach technical sewing and textile manufacturing, but we also do English as a second language, contextualized math and English, and we do life skills. I do wraparound. I mean, transportation, daycare, housing.
How to apply for a job.
And then we do a whole resume building. And we do job interviews, but we have the employers come in to the shop. You know, it's really hard for any of us to go into a business and say, I need a job. And, you know, it's intimidating. And a lot of these women and men come from really very difficult backgrounds.
You know, addressing kind of the elephant in the room, enter COVID-19, which has changed everything in everybody's lives. Boy, you all, both of your groups are very, very busy. First, let's go ahead and describe, I guess let's start then with you and then Dory and Dan. What you provide is excellent seamstresses who you train. So Ben, let's bring us up to speed. What's happening with you and what's your great reboot right now?
Of how do we move forward in the time of a unprecedented, this has never happened before in the history of this country, moment. And we had a board call on Monday and we voted to close the factory immediately and pay our workforce for a week. 2 weeks prior to that, we had begun discussions on PPE products. But as a small business owner, you only have so much bandwidth to think about tomorrow, right? And so at that point, we spent about 3 sleepless days working with a number of designers on gowns, booties, and masks. Then Flowfold, a local company, came to us and said, we've designed a face shield. Maine Health likes it. We're a quarter of what your production capacity is, American Roots. We need help with production. So that was PPE number 1. PPE number 2 was a washable, reusable mask, which is, you know, PPE face shields are level 1, and our face mask is like a level 4, level 5. Demand is enormous. We launched the washable mask on Sunday, and we're upwards of several 100,000 units ordered already. So it's a little overwhelming, but we're taking it piece by piece, and none of that, again, we wouldn't be able to pick up the phone and call for stitchers if Common Threads of Maine didn't exist.
So Dory and Dan, how timely that you have this incredible sewing class. You're both in the old Dana Warp
Yes.
mill building,
Yes.
which was in the heyday of manufacturing in Maine. I mean, it was bustling.
Yes.
Back in the day, and
Yeah.
here you are. I mean, it's amazing, kind of the rebirth that you've helped to bring forth.
Well, bringing it home. I mean,
Bringing good jobs.
People want to work. It's purpose. It's about purpose. And our program, as we've critiqued it, I have great staff now, part-time staff. We teach 25 hours a week. The most amazing thing is that we have this new neighbors. We have people from all over the world coming here to build a better life, and they want to work. They don't want to live on they didn't come here to live on general assistance. They came here to create a life and support their families and get a job. So I have had an average of 40 applicants for 10 slots for 5 years. And we do 4 classes a year now.
You have these amazing employees who you've brought over, and their stories are more tragic. The next story is more tragic than the one before, and they're just beyond anything that any of us, God willing, will ever have to experience. Now you throw in this global cataclysm, this pandemic, the likes of which, you throw in somebody who may not understand English and may not, be firmly rooted here yet. And oh my God, what a crazy situation. How do you deal with your employees and helping to kind of soothe their worries and their concerns when you too are worried and concerned for your family?
I would be lying by saying that the reason why I haven't slept much in the last 5 weeks is because of my 6-month-old. He plays a small role. What keeps me awake at night is the fact that there's a story happening in America right now. Many Americans are home. Many Americans can stay home. They can stay on unemployment, or they can work from home, one or the other. Right. There is a group of people right now. There are 2 tiers. There are people on the front lines, nurses, doctors, EMS, police officers, people saving lives, that are the true heroes. And then there's this other group of heroes, and that's the guy who's punching a clock at BIW. That's the guy who's fixing the HVAC at Dana-Farber. That's the guy who's fixing electricity at Maine Health. Those are the teachers that are working extreme long hours from home and having to go drop stuff off to their students. And those people are risking their lives by doing what they are. We were grossly underprepared as a country for this. And so Winnie and I knew we weren't just going to sit by and not do anything. The question was, how do we do it? And on a Monday, and think about this, on a Monday, after paying our workforce for a week and them staying home and us making a decision to move forward, we laid everybody off, 84% of our workforce. In the same staff meeting, we asked on a show of hands, how many people would be willing to come back if we began PPE production during this pandemic period? Every single hand went up. They have no fear, because they escaped hell to come to a better way of life. And they'll be damned if they go backwards.
give us some numbers, because I want people to understand how crazy things have gotten for you since you switched gears, since you rebooted and you're doing the PPEs. Your world is going gangbusters now, and the demand for what you and your folks there are creating is just through the roof. Tell us all about that, if you will. What is the demand now, and what is that going to mean for you as far as hiring more people?
As soon as we formed a partner, the agreement to start with the level 1 PPE, I would wake up with 75 to 100 emails in the morning. And those were coming from major medical community, nursing homes, veterans homes, and unions. And now it's getting to the point where unions, organized labor, are actually buying PPE protection for their members because the hospitals can't find it, or the company can't find it, or what have you. Since we launched the washable mask piece, and there was a recent article in the Washington Post, the last 2 mornings, we've averaged around 1,200 to 1,400 individual emails per morning on orders. We're probably looking at somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 million masks between now and January, and around 250,000 face shields. But it's going to take around a 6-week growth, because as my mom and dad know, you need machines, right? And you can't just go to your local store and buy a sewing machine. So we're going to build it in gradually. Next week, we're going to bring on 10 more stitchers, 10 more inspectors, and the following 2 weeks, we'll bring on another 20 folks. And like I said, we're going to take this day by day, week by week. But it's the mask that all of us on this screen right now are going to be having in our back pockets for the foreseeable future. We launched the product line, and we will double our workforce over the next 2 weeks and triple our workforce to around 60 to 70 employees by the middle of May.
Where are you seeing things changing for your company? I mean, will there be permanent changes as a result of COVID for you? And kind of, I'm not asking you to be a prognosticator, but if you could kind of give us a view of what are you looking at?
We view at the very least making direct PPE products for the next 18 to 24 months. Because it's not just the immediate until there's a vaccine, there's the issue of stockpiling by companies, unions, government agencies, so that if we face something like this again, we have it.
We've done 700 masks in 10 days for the shelters. And we've actually the Portland Fire Department called me, and they were out of filters. So we Dan and I cut 1,500 filters out of vacuum cleaner bags on our deck, and we sewed squares so that they can put it in their protective, because there's not enough protective wear in America right now for anybody on the front lines. And that's a huge problem, what Ben was talking about. But I think American Roots, quite honestly, has a whole new product line that will stay with them, not for 2 years or 18 months. It's going to be an ongoing thing, because viruses are going to keep happening to us, and we need to be better prepared.
Well, I have to say, we have a couple of doctors in our family, and I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing, because they're handed a paper bag and they're given one mask.
Ugh, I know.
And these are people who are working directly with COVID-19 patients, and it just makes you weep that there is not this kind of support for them. So thank you, all of you, for what you're doing. On a personal note, it just means a lot to me, bringing me to tears.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing right now that we're going through in this country, and it's like nothing we've ever seen, and we hope that we never ever have to see it again. But there's no guarantees, so we have to be smart and prepared, and we need to take care of each other, because if we do that, we'll survive all this. And we'll be better for it. We might not be able to hug, and I'm a hugger, and it's really traumatic for me. But maybe this is what needed to bring America to its knees, to rethink who we are as a nation.
Well, many thanks to Dory and Dan Waxman, Ben Waxman. Love you guys.
right.
Love what you're
Thank you,
doing.
Ben.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Ben.
See
You're
ya.
the best.
Safe.
Thank you.
Stay home.
Thank you, Tori.
Yeah, I
Thank
am.
you, Tori.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tori.